Well, it's not only an honor, but it's kind of humbling because, again, I mean, you're being recognized by your peers, and some of these peers I haven't seen in 50 years. And as soon as they found out that I was on the list to be inducted, they all wrote letters of recommendation. So here are people that I played with my life growing up, but I haven't seen in 50 years. And all of a sudden they started writing letters of recommendation to the board for my induction. So to me, that is extremely gratifying, humbling, and, rewarding.
So this is going to be kind of like a reunion when you go. It's tomorrow evening, right?
Tomorrow evening, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell me what that's going to be like. I mean, it's going to be kind of weird.
Well, I was up there last year. I went up to meet some of the board members, and I think there was between 400 and 600 people, all in the ceremony hall. So it's a lot of people for the dinner, and you're seeing people that you haven't seen in 50 years, and it's just unbelievable how the relationships come back together. It's like we had been away for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden we're back together talking. We're talking about the old game, what we did, remember this, remember that, and it was quite an experience. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night.
And tell me a little bit about you. You graduated from Batavia High School.
Batavia Senior High, right?
And
Graduated in 1967. Drafted by the New York Mets. I was the 124th selection overall. And then I ended up being redrafted by the Minnesota Twins as well as the Detroit Tigers. And then after I graduated from New Mexico, I signed with the Baltimore Orioles. And I was sent to their farm system.
so you were actually drafted all those times, and you said it was very difficult. You wanted to go play ball, but tell me what your dad told you.
Well, my dad was adamant. Even when I was drafted by the Mets, the agreement was with the Mets when we were negotiating is that he'll go to school first. He'll sign with you, but he'll go to school first and then play afterwards. So I would have played in the off seasons when I wasn't at school and so forth. But my dad and mother were just adamant that I was going to have a college degree.
Mm-hmm. And how did you end up there at New Mexico?
New Mexico.
Batavia High School.
When I didn't sign with the Mets, I got redrafted by the Tigers, and there was a scout by the name of Cy Williams, and they had drafted another ball player named Jack McLeod from Waterford, Michigan, and they put him out in New Mexico. So Cy made a call to the baseball coach at New Mexico and said, "Look, we just drafted this kid. He's going to go to school. I want him out at New Mexico." Long story short, I was in New Mexico.
So that's how you ended up going there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you knew you were going there to play baseball.
I was, and they were a baseball school because in 1967, New Mexico Highlands had just won the national championship, and so we played probably between the fall schedule and the regular season schedule. We probably played close to 80 ball games.
So you went from Batavia High School, where you had tell me about your baseball playing years there and what that was like.
Well, I played. I was part of the varsity team from 9th grade on. I played varsity ball. I want everybody to understand. I had some terrific ball players behind me. I'll toot my own horn. I was an exceptional ball player. But the teammates that I played with, whether it was Little League, Babe Ruth, high school, American Legion, on into college, were all exceptional ball players. And I couldn't even begin to start to name them because I know I'd forget some of them, so I'm just going to say throughout my career, I played with some pretty exceptional ball players.
And so the whole time pitching, you were always pitching?
When I wasn't pitching, I was playing shortstop at the high school level. So I was playing all the time. And then same thing with the American Legion, the Babe Ruth. When I wasn't pitching, I was playing shortstop. Mm-hmm. So.
But it was the pitching that got you in.
Yeah, the pitching absolutely got me in. My fastball was clocked in high school between 95 and 98 miles an hour, which back then, well, even today, it's exceptional. But yeah, the pitching got the attention of the scouts, and I had scouts following me from my sophomore year of high school until I graduated.
So even in high school, you had that fast of a pitch?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. So that's like kind of somebody that gets a lot of attention at that age.
You got a lot of attention, but I played a lot of ball because when I wasn't playing in high school, I was playing American Legion, and then I also played in Buffalo. That's how I came here. I was playing up in Buffalo 3 to 4 nights a week. So
On top of high school?
On top of high school, so I was traveling back and forth as well during the summer, of course, playing Muni ball and Triple ABA ball up in Buffalo, and that's how I got picked up there. And then ultimately, the team that I represented in Buffalo, the Village of Sloan, New York, won the National Amateur Baseball Federation title in 1970. So we were national champions. And that's some of the the photos that you saw with the bats and everything else and so forth. So we had a lot of attention. So.
And so at this point now you're thinking, okay, I might have a chance here to make the big leagues because now I have people's attention and people are looking at me. So the whole time you're in college, what's going through your head? I mean,
well, it's the same thing. All I was trying to do is, again, we played against some of the greatest schools in the Southwest and the West. I mean, we played against Arizona, Colorado, Texas, Texas Tech, and New Mexico, other schools within New Mexico. So we were playing against some A1 caliber ball players. And the only thing it did there is simply, not only strengthen my resolve to continue on playing professionally, but to know that you could compete at that level consistently. And it wasn't just you were a flash in the pan and you're here and gone, so forth. So it just kind of strengthened my resolve to play. And I truly loved the game. I ate, drank, and slept baseball.
all through college too?
All through college, and it started in Little League. It was just, that's all we ever did. In fact, the family, they thought they had the greatest vacations in the world, but they were always traveling with me, various parts of Western New York and Pennsylvania and so forth, playing baseball.
And so, at the end of your college, and then you said you were drafted by the Orioles?
Baltimore signed me to a contract and sent me to their farm system. Yes.
And what happened? Tell me now what happens now. You're at the farm system.
Well, I mean, I got to play with and meet with some of the greatest ball players. I got to meet Brooks Robinson and Bobby Grich and Doug DeCenzes and all the guys that were playing. Brooks was in the majors and whatnot, but I started at the up with Joe Altobelli in Rochester, and then they sent me down to the farm systems. But I got to see and play with some of the greatest ball players that ended up playing with the Orioles. And it was a thrill. There's no doubt about it. When you hear about these guys and you see them on TV, and then all of a sudden you're standing next to them and you're actually playing with them and competing with them, it takes the game to another level.
Mm-hmm. And so now at this point, now you're in the farm system. So what happens next?
Well, I mean, we're competing on a day-to-day basis to continue on into the farm system and get elevated, of course, to go from A-ball to AA to AAA and ultimately to the major leagues. But I ended up tearing my rotator cuff and ultimately got released by the Orioles.
So now what year was that?
1972.
Okay. So you graduated in 67.
Yep.
And then in 72 you had now what happened there? You did that while you were pitching?
Yeah, absolutely. I just had so much pain, and the doctor actually found the rotator cuff was torn, and they didn't have the surgery that they have today. Yeah, so it was you either get played in pain or you ended up getting released. So I ended up getting released, but ultimately I ended up playing. I thought my baseball career was over, but I ultimately I was recruited by the FBI, and the next thing you know, I'm playing baseball for the FBI.
Tell me about that.
Well, actually, I had my college degree, and to become a special agent, they recruited me as a special agent at the FBI, and I had to spend 3 years of training, or 2 years at the time that I went in as far as training. But during that period of time, the FBI had a baseball team. It was called the FBI Bureaucrats. And lo and behold, as soon as I got sent from Buffalo to Washington, D.C., and as soon as I got down there, the coach of the bureaucrats, who was actually the FBI commissioner of baseball, his name was Andy Nacero, ended up calling me and saying, hey, you want to play for the bureaucrats? And I said, why not? So, lo and behold,
Pitching?
I did pitching as well as, believe it or not, my arm more or less kind of healed.
Really?
Yeah. It was really funny. I can't tell you what happened or why it happened, but ultimately, I ended up pitching and playing shortstop for the bureaucrats for a number of years, and we did terrific. We played some minor league systems throughout the area.
What years was that?
70s, well, late 72, 73, up into 76, 77. And then they stopped playing baseball. Everybody transitioned, started playing softball.
Ah, okay.
So,
All right.
we had all types of fun. I played a little bit of softball
Yeah.
as well. I represented the FBI at a number of tournaments around the country.
So how long were you with the FBI for?
6 years. 6 years.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And so is that what got you into the FBI, the baseball, or your
No,
college?
no. I actually, believe it or not, my brother was with the Bureau, and he was the Undersheriff of Genesee County.
Who's that?
My brother was Bob Sheldon.
Okay.
And actually, my mother was a deputy sheriff.
Okay.
And
What was her first name?
Elizabeth. Well, we used to call her Betty, but her name was Charlotte, but it was Betty. I used to call her the warden because it was, the jail time and so on and so forth. But again, it was, we had, because of my brother's affiliation and my mother, we had city police, state police, county police. We had all of them at the house constantly. And the FBI was down there all the time. And it just so happens I was home one day and some FBI agents came and they asked me what I wanted to do with myself. I said, I have no idea. I have no idea. I had a teaching certificate. I was thinking, well, I'm going to go back and be a coach. And they said, hey, have you ever thought about being an FBI agent? I said, no, not really. He said, do you want to go? I said, sure. So,
You said, why not?
why not? It sounds
And how old were you at this point now?
23.
23, all right.
So I said, yeah, geez, it sounds good to me. I'm willing. And they said, well, just sign the paper here. And the next thing you know, I'm going to Buffalo. From Buffalo, I go to headquarters.
Okay.
So that's.
So how many years total? You were in Washington, you said, for 6. How long were you in Buffalo?
I was up there for about 6 months at the field office, and then I
Okay,
was
so-
down at, rest of the time I spent down at headquarters. But I've been in D.C. since 72. So I've been down there all my life.
And so what are you doing now?
I do security. I support the Department of Homeland Security. And we do a lot of different things for them.
Okay. So you're still involved?
I'm still involved, and I'm still involved with the Bureau.
Okay. So, but you're technically, would you say, retired or not, or
Oh, no,
semi-retired? No, not even retired.
No, I'm not even retired.
You're not even retired.
No,
so you're
no.
still going.
I still go, yes.
Yeah. Wow. So at this point, when you meet up with your friends at this event tomorrow, many of them have taken different paths, I'm sure, in life, and so yours might be a little bit interesting.
Well, they look at me and they go, why are you still working? I said, because I live in D.C. You don't retire in D.C. You find some outlying areas where the affordability for everything is a little less. So, but I enjoy what I do. And it gets me up in the morning, keeps me going, it keeps me out of my wife's hair.
And how long have you been married for? How many kids you have?
I have three kids, 1 boy, 2 girls. One of them is at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center right now. He's going back into law enforcement. I have 2 daughters, 9 grandkids, and my wife is so fortunate that she's been married to me for 43 years.
She's so fortunate.
Oh,
And a half.
excuse me.
43 and a half.
43 and a half.
All right. So, any words of wisdom to those kids out there right now who are thinking, gee, do I have a shot to play baseball. Any words of wisdom you'd like to give anybody, somebody that's, let's wait till the truck. Anything you'd say to somebody that's playing high school ball right now?
Simply put, is if you have a dream, go do it. I mean, you're the only one that's going to stop yourself. I mean, back then it was, I think the numbers were 3 out of every 100 that get drafted ever make it to the major leagues. So, I mean, sure, the numbers are smaller, but I would say never stop dreaming. I mean, if you can dream it, do it. You need a little bit of luck and you have to have skill, obviously, but if you can dream it, go for it.